What is up, Raidernation? It's your boy Simone Raider back at it again with yet another pregame preview, and today we're going to be previewing our 2-8 Las Vegas Raiders versus the 2-8 Cleveland Browns. Both teams really suck this year, and this is one of those games that not a lot of people want to watch, and understandably so unless you're a Browns fan or a Raiders fan. Looking at how the season has turned out for both teams, it is what it is. And I don't think that there's going to be a lot of fans over here in Las Vegas anyways watching this game, but for the few fans that are going to be here, hey, we at least get to see the debut of the legendary SHEDEUR Sanders. And what perfect timing is it for SHEDEUR Sanders to get his very first start against the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that a lot of people thought he would be drafted to. Of course, the Raiders didn't draft him. We thought that he was going to be that guy because, one, we needed a quarterback for the future, and two, he had a relationship with our part-time owner, Tom Brady. But with all that being said, it's going to be an interesting matchup between both teams. This is going to be the battle for the #1 overall pick, the way the season has been going so far. Even though the Raiders haven't been really lucky with winning a lot of games, this is a game that favored the Raiders a little bit. I mean, the Browns haven't beat the Raiders since 2014, but knowing the Raiders and knowing how much they let us down every single week, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost against a rookie quarterback that's debuting against us, because we all know that the Raiders against backup quarterbacks and even first-time quarterbacks starting for their first time, it ain't a good sign for this team. Like I said before, this is going to be an interesting matchup over here in Las Vegas. Nonetheless, I know that there's some Raider fans that just want to win, and there's some other Raider fans that just want to tank. But I just want to see a competitive game since I'm going to be at the game tomorrow. So if you guys are going to be at the game tomorrow, man, look out for a news. I'll be at Lot J, most likely for the tailgate, and also I'll be going into the stadium, possibly find me in the win club. I'll be all over the place. But if this is the very first time you guys come across the channel and you love Raiders content just like this, man, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon button.
I got the keys now.
That being said, I'm going to go over 3 keys to victory for our Las Vegas Raiders in a game that I feel like doesn't really matter. Key number 1 is we got to make SHEDEUR Sanders uncomfortable. Like I stated earlier, this is going to be SHEDEUR Sanders' first start in the NFL against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is a perfect matchup for SHEDEUR Sanders. If there's any team that you want to play, it's the Raiders. And that's a sad thing to say, because we know that we're just one of the worst teams in the NFL at this point. But SHEDEUR Sanders, coming off of a bad game against the Baltimore Ravens, he was just thrown in there and ended up losing that game. And I know hindsight, just looking at the stats, 4 for 16, 47 yards, an interception, 2 sacks, and a loss looks really bad. But when you actually watch the game, when you actually look at the film, he still had a chance to drive down the field with the Browns and win that game against the Ravens. But there was a lot of crucial drops with some of his receivers, and just not having that timing down with some of his players out there. And I know he barely had any first-team reps, but a whole week prepping up for this game, you never know what you could get out of a young guy like SHEDEUR. There were definitely some flashes, and if there's a game that we can say SHEDEUR can pop off, it's this game against the Raiders. Our team tends to make backup quarterbacks and even young quarterbacks look really good, so I wouldn't be surprised if he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But we cannot let him get comfortable out there. If we want any chance of winning this game, we got to apply that pressure on a young rookie quarterback like SHEDEUR, who will tend to make mistakes, and if we cause him to make those turnovers, we got to capitalize on those turnovers by scoring 6 points instead of 3 points. Last week we seen this defense come through with a huge forced fumble. Shout out to Max Crosby against Dak Prescott in the first quarter, and our offense was just not able to keep that same energy and get into the end zone. We settled for 3 points, which I think in this game, I think is more than enough to beat a team like the Browns. Now moving on to the next key to victory, we're going over to the offensive side of the ball, and it's establishing the run. Now last week against the Cowboys, a team that struggles against the run, the Raiders were not able to establish the run at all. Heck, Ashton Jeanty only had 2 carries in the first half of that game. Totally unacceptable for the Raiders to have a running back of Ashton Jeanty's caliber against a defense that struggles against the run. You would think that the Raiders would have ran the ball a lot more, but they didn't. They didn't at all. I mean, for the whole entire game, Ashton Jeanty only had 6 carries for 7 yards. What? And our leading rusher was Geno Smith. So that just goes to show you how bad the run game was for the Raiders. And that goes right back to Chip Kelly and his play calling on the offensive side of the ball. We need a much better game plan going into this game. And on top of that, the offensive line has got to open up holes for the run game for Ashton Jeanty if we want any chance of being successful on the ground. And we can't have a successful play action game if nobody's respecting the run. And that was one thing that was frustrating watching last week's game, is the fact that we were trying to beat the Cowboys with the play action when we didn't even have a run game to begin with, especially when you're coming out of shotgun. What? So definitely one of the main things for the Raiders on the offensive side of the ball is establishing the run. Another thing on the offensive side of the ball is protecting the quarterback. Now, we know that Geno Smith has been bad, historically bad throughout the season, and he continues to show us why he shouldn't be the quarterback moving forward. But I will say that the offensive line did not help out at all with how bad they were playing against the Cowboys defense. Geno Smith barely had any time out there when he was dropping back and trying to find receivers. He had no time, and he was timid in the pocket, and rightfully so, because the offensive line played one of their worst games of the season. We got to give Geno Smith some time out there. Like I said, I know a lot of people don't like Geno Smith, but he needs time. Heck, any quarterback in the NFL would need some time in the pocket to make plays. We've seen it before with Derek Carr. We've seen it with some of the great quarterbacks in the NFL. Heck, Patrick Mahomes struggled in the Super Bowl when he had no offensive line to help him out. So for Geno Smith, if we want to see what he can do out there with the weapons that we do have, we got to block better, and we got to protect Geno Smith at all costs, especially against a pass rusher like Myles Garrett, who is tearing it up so far this season with 29 total tackles, 15 sacks, and a forced fumble. Myles Garrett is somebody you definitely got to keep an eye on, especially for the offensive line. If you can't protect Geno Smith, it's going to be another long game for us to watch on Sunday. I want to take a quick moment to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of today's video, MyBookie. Whether you're chasing a big parlay or just testing your football knowledge, MyBookie makes it easy for you. And they've got everything all in one spot, from the NFL to the NBA to college football, live lines, and so much more. If you're looking to get in on the action and you're new to MyBookie, then make sure to use my promo code Samoan. And any bet that you place up to $500 is fully covered when you opt in for your bet back bonus token. So don't wait and head to MyBookie today. Now, moving on to some players to watch in this game. Now, the first guy that I have on my list is not a player in general, but it's a coach. I'm talking about Chip Kelly. Now, I've been sticking up for Chip Kelly for a couple of weeks now because I feel like we just don't have the right pieces here. We don't have an offensive line that could help protect for the quarterback, that could open things up for the run game. But Chip Kelly, as far as game planning and calling plays out there and situational awareness, he has continued to show that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there. He doesn't know how to run the offense. He doesn't know how to put his players in the right positions to go out there and succeed, whether it's Ashton Jeanty, whether it's Geno Smith, whether it's the offensive line, so on and so forth. His game planning is horrible. There's games where he'll just hand the ball off to Ashton Jeanty multiple times and give him a chance to go out there and do his thing. There's other games where he wouldn't even give Ashton Jeanty a chance to do anything out there. There's games where we'll force feed Brock Bowers, and then there's other games we won't force feed Brock Bowers. It's like he doesn't have an identity on the offensive side of the ball, and for somebody that's getting paid a lot of money, the offense that he's trying to run over here in Las Vegas just ain't working out. And it's just not me talking about this. Fans are talking about it. Heck, there's some players that are calling the offensive side of the ball out, and there's even former players calling out Chip Kelly. For example, Richie Incognito.
Chip Kelly's offense is not translating to the NFL. It is a complete mess. We have a workhorse in Ashton Jeanty, need to feed him the ball. Everyone's saying, well, the offensive line is bad up front. To get the offensive line in the game, you have to run the ball. You have to go downhill at these guys. You have to dictate the tempo of the game. If you have guys backing up and you're dropping back 35, 40 times with Geno Smith, it's not going to work. And Chip, in his infinite wisdom, thinks that we cannot run the ball and still get play action to work. You were talking about it before. You have to threaten them a little bit with the run and get your play action going. We're running play action out of the shotgun. We're putting it in Geno's hands, and Geno is turning it over left and right. So I think Chip Kelly, his issue is he thinks he's smarter than everybody, and he's going to let you know that he's smarter than everybody. But in the NFL, there's a lot of smart guys.
And everything that he said, I totally agree with. So Chip Kelly, you got to get your act together, because I think that you are going to be the next one on the chopping block if we don't get things going offensively. And this is an offense that a lot of us expected to have a much better season, but it seems like the defense is the only one playing good enough to keep us in games. And speaking of the defensive side of the ball, I want to move over to Max Crosby. Of course, I know Max Crosby is a guy that we all look forward to watching every single Sunday, but he's a guy that sets the tone. And I talked about this many times, and in a game like this that I feel like is a winnable game for the Raiders, Max Crosby has got to dominate this game. I know he got a lot of respect for SHEDEUR Sanders, but against a rookie quarterback, I can only imagine Max Crosby is just salivating at the mouth. I mean, pause. But I know Max Crosby right now is just licking his chops, and he's ready to go out there and dominate this game defensively. And when Max Crosby gets going, it only helps out the rest of the defense. So I'm looking for Max Crosby to step up. And not only that, I'm also looking forward to Daniel Carlson. Yeah, I know it might be a little surprising, but Daniel Carlson is the last player that I'm looking forward to watching in this game, because I know this team. I know this Raiders team is going to kick a lot of field goals. Well, we're not going to kick that many extra points, but there's going to be a lot of situations where we drive down the field and we have to kick field goals. goals. So my only thing for Daniel Carlson is make your damn kicks. I know he did a great job last week. Let's continue to do that this week, because I think this is going to be a game where the Raiders kick a lot of field goals, and it's going to be up to Daniel Carlson to not make any mistakes out there. We need him to be flawless against the Cleveland Browns. And maybe, just maybe, the Raiders can come away with the victory. And I know in a meaningless game like this, a lot of fans don't want to see a win, but we all know what Al Davis once said. It's just win, baby. So whenever we could get a win, we just got to win. But that being said, Raider Nation, what are your thoughts on this game? How do you feel about the Raiders versus the Browns? Are you guys going to be at the game? And tomorrow, following the game, I will be going live. I have a panel with me, most likely going to be me, Joe, maybe Fitz, and I got another special guest that will be joining us following the game. So it's going to be a good time, not a long time. So if you guys want to tune in, tune in. Until the next video, this is your boy, Simone Raider, and your boy is Yow.